Hi, this is Professor Slaughter. Welcome back. I hope that you enjoyed your break, and I'm providing you this video to help you get started in this class on the right foot and make sure that you have everything that you need. Now, I'm going to start off at a fairly elementary level because I do realize that there's some people in the class that are taking online classes for the first time. So whether you find yourself in that category or not, there may be some information in here that you will find particularly helpful. So if you have any questions about Blackboard, please feel free to email me, call me, text me, or join me in online office hours, and I will show you how to use Blackboard more effectively. So the other reason for this video is to give you an idea of how the course is structured and what you need to be doing and what you need to be concentrating on so that you don't initially miss any deadlines. Okay, so we'll start with the basics. To log into Blackboard, you're going to go to the TCC homepage, and you'll see this little icon in the upper right hand side called My TCC. And what you're going to do is you're going to click on that. Whoops, I am obviously logged in somewhere. So let me log out and give this another try so that my screen will look like yours will. I've been working in Blackboard all day, so it may be still showing me as logged in. Okay, so I'm clicking on the link again. All right, let me log out. Okay, log back in here. Okay, so let's try this again. Okay, so I'm going to click on the My TCC website, or the little button, and now it's asking me for my Blackboard username and my password. So when I type in my password, I'll click on My TCC, and it's going to take me to a list of options. Now your options may look a little different from mine because I'm a faculty member. You may have some things that I don't have, and I may have some things that you don't have, but the two things that you and I both should have, Blackboard and SIS. Now SIS is where all your personal information is maintained and where your grades are maintained, where you can order transcripts. So make sure that you look at the SIS screen and make sure that your contact information is right, because I am the type of professor that will try to call you during the semester, particularly if I think you're encountering challenges in the course or whatever. So please make sure that your phone numbers and everything are updated. Okay, so let's get into Blackboard. So you're going to click on the Blackboard link. And if you are taking an online class for the first time, I would strongly recommend that you go to this section of the screen and click on Blackboard Tutorials. Now, even those of you who have been taking Blackboard classes before, there is a possibility that Blackboard has changed or been updated. So click on Blackboard Tutorials, and then you have all these on-demand things. And I would recommend, even if you're familiar with Blackboard, at least go through the list and make sure that you know what the new features are. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do, I want to show you, and I don't see it right now, but there are little buttons usually that you can set up your calendars, and I don't see that as I discover these. Blackboard has changed. There's your calendar. You can move these blocks around. You'll see right here, open to do in a new window. And if your professors are populating their due dates the way they need to be populated in the system, you'll see your due dates on a Blackboard. And my personal preference is to move this up. I don't know if it'll let me move it up. It used to let you move it. So explore a little bit about this home page, and make sure there's an online orientation. I would also recommend that you do the online orientation as well if this is your first online class or it's been a while. Okay, so we're going to use Business, Introduction to Business as the example class, but all my classes are set up exactly the same way, so if you follow along in this video, you should be finding your own class regardless of which class you're taking. Okay. All right, so one of the things that students will skip over because they think it's not important is the Start Here menu. Now, all my classes open up to the announcement screen, and everything that I need to communicate with you, I'll be communicating through the announcement screen. So you need to make sure when you log in, you need to make sure that there are no new announcements. Okay, a lot of students will skip the Start Here menu. I would strongly recommend that you, if you are one of those offenders, that you stop that, because you will notice in all your Blackboard classes that they should start looking exactly alike or relatively similar. And this Start Here menu is a requirement for the college. So professors are using the Start Here menu where before that they didn't. So click on the Start Here menu. And the first thing that you'll see is first steps. This is excellent for everyone to just get started with the first steps. Make sure you do these first 5 things. And also make sure that you check and make sure that you don't have an attachment here. Okay, if you do have an attachment, it's because you need it. The Business 100 level class, Finance, I believe, has an attachment. Everyone should be looking at these first steps to make sure that there's no attachment there. This particular attachment is includes instructions on how to register for Connect, and these students that are taking this particular course will need that. Okay, and then you move through the introduction. I hope you'll read it. It tells you a little bit about me. And of course, I got photobombed by my little brother. Even at 42 years old, this is what he still thinks is funny. So I love to go backpacking, so I'll post pictures from that. The welcome to the course is directly from the syllabus. So you can read it here, read it in the syllabus. And then you'll notice that there's a section called Prerequisite Knowledge and Technical Skills Required for this course. If you're taking an online course, we have an expectation that you are able to perform at a minimum skill level. And that doesn't mean you have minimal computer skills. What it means is a minimum standard has been set. So you need to click on this link, make sure that you meet those requirements. In my Blackboard shells, I will include a picture of the book, but if you buy a book that doesn't have a cover, then obviously it won't look like you're expecting in this picture. What I ask my students to do, if you have any concern about the book you've purchased, take a picture of it with your cell phone and text it to me, and I'll tell you whether or not you're on the right track. And don't forget to look under the picture of the book, because there may be additional requirements for the course, and oftentimes these are missed. People look at the textbook and then they stop reading. This particular course requires a Connect license. Obviously, you're required to have access to Blackboard. And I also recommend that you have video conferencing, like Skype or something like that. Okay, I give you instruction on how to navigate the course. And that's actually what this video is. And also I give you a video on how to submit a papers in this course. I grade papers thoroughly, so I would recommend that you watch that video so that you know what I'm looking for. Okay, then there's some information from the college on netiquette. Introduce yourself to the class. And if you haven't posted to a discussion board before, the way you do that is you click on the link, and then you click on Create Thread. And then some people will put their name in there, or they'll put something exciting about them in the subject line, and then you can type your introduction here in the body of the message. And then when you're done, you just hit submit, and it'll post it to the introduction, to the discussion board. Okay. You'll also notice in every content folder, which I'll show you in a minute, there's something about questions about content, and you will be able to post your questions to the course. And as we get started in the course, I'll tell you where to post your questions and where not to post your questions, because I do not monitor all discussion boards. And so that's what's under the Start Here menu. Depending on the class, there may be additional information there. There may also be math skill assessments that you need to take. There could be all sorts of additional information for your specific course. So do not skip the Start Here menu. Start Here means start here. Okay, in the next section there's course information, and you'll notice under this first folder is the syllabus. Now in all of my classes, This includes the qualitative, not the quantitative, even though I will oftentimes post the rubrics in the quantitative classes like finance and statistics. You'll notice here that along with the syllabus, there is a second document here, and it's the grading rubric for your written responses. And because I do tend to grade pretty tough on the papers, I would recommend that you download that rubric, and you just do that by clicking on it. It gives you a copy of it. And this is what I use to grade all my papers. I put the course schedule in there. It also has some important dates about graduation and when you can drop the class if you need to. Got information on the grading policies, all of this direct cut and paste from the syllabus, as well as the late and makeup work policies. And then there's a link provided by the college called College Policies for Students. All right, so that's course information. So if you need a syllabus, grading rubric, any other information, it'll be right under here. Okay, so let's get into the course content, because this is where you're going to go to get your work every week. You'll notice that in some of the courses, there's going to be a rewrite and edits folder, and if you make a score below 79 on any of your written work, I do give you the opportunity to rewrite it or to edit it. And if you click on that link, there'll be instructions here on how to do that. But you'll notice each week has a date range, and so let's look at this first week here. The folder has the learning objectives for the week, and this pretty much is going to be guiding what we're going to be working on. And then we click on the link, and this document right here, the very first thing right here, is most important. It is the checklist. And if you will download the checklist, you will see that it has everything listed on the checklist that will be in Blackboard. So if you like to work from a manual printed out piece of paper, this is for you. But it does, but everything in Blackboard, it does come from the checklist. If there are ever any discrepancies between the checklist and the Blackboard, then you need to rely on the checklist, because that's what I'm going to hold you accountable for. Also, bring those discrepancies to my attention so that I can make changes and post announcements. I offer you, in most of the classes, the PowerPoint presentations. And then as you work through the checklist, if there's any videos that you need to watch, those will be listed. Most of my classes, there's some sort of project due, and so I will give you information on the project. And you'll notice here you can't click on this link. Let me cut this off so that it looks exactly what it would look like from your point of view. You'll notice you can't do anything with this, okay? Just because you can't click on it anywhere and make it happen doesn't mean you should ignore it. So please read it so that you get your instructions, because you're still responsible for your research, even though it may not be due until later in the semester. And then you have your assignments. You follow the instructions that are here and on your checklist, and when you're ready to submit an assignment, you click on the link, and then you attach your assignment by clicking on Browse My Computer. When you click on Browse My Computer, it brings you up to your work folder in your computer. You may have to do a little navigation, and then if you need to send me a note, then you can do that. And I do read the comments before I grade the papers. Or before I grade any of the assignments, I will read your comments. So if you have any comments for me, feel free to add them in this section so that we can communicate effectively on your papers, okay? And then you will just add this. I don't know if you can see it very well, but you would just add it in that area. And then of course, when you're ready to upload your paper, then you just hit submit. Now, there's a button right here that says Write Submission. In this class, you should never use that button, because I want all your work as an uploaded document, except in discussions, which I will show you. When you have an assignment, you need to always upload it, and when you have a discussion, you need to always type it directly into Blackboard. Okay. So now let's talk about discussions. In discussions, sometimes I have them set up as individual discussion boards, and sometimes I have them set up as forums. If I have them set up as forums, it's because I want to participate in the discussion with you. So in this case, this is a discussion about factor ownership or entrepreneurship. And so you, in order to respond to the discussion, you click the title. My original posting shows up, and then what you do is you click on the reply button to respond to me, and you'll see that it keeps the same title, and then you type in your response, and then you hit submit, and then that will post your entry into the discussion board. So it's pretty easy. Okay, and then I'm going to go back into this. So we've been over, now in order to launch videos, you just click on the watch video and it will launch it right there in Blackboard. We talked about the research posts, the assignments in the discussion board, and I always post a reminder in the classes where there's a lab, like Connect exercises or easy test online exercises. I'll always post a reminder because I do realize it's kind of tough to remember to skip over to that other program besides Blackboard. In most of my classes, I will offer you extra credit. There's a due date with all the extra credit. So if you want to do extra credit, you're not required to do it, but you can click on the link. And again, it tells you how many points are possible. And these are big points because these points are added to the end of your grade. They're actually added to your final grade. And sometimes if you're forced to miss an assignment or something like that, you can make it up by actually doing an extra credit paper. And then same rules apply. Don't use the don't use this button right here. Leave it alone. And just use the browse my computer button. That's what I want you to use. And upload your document, which would be your extra credit paper. And then hit submit. Now, don't forget to scroll down and hit submit. Okay, so that takes you to the content folder. And you'll notice in this case right now I have two content folders that are available, and you can see how the dates change. So you'll just follow from content folder to content folder every week. Now, because we had a discussion posted in this August 25th to August 31st, sometimes you'll need to go back in and read your discussions. In fact, I recommend that you do that, because if you post by Wednesday night, like you're supposed to, I may very well respond to you and you need to post something else in addition to what you've already posted. So in order to visit the discussion board, you just click on discussion, and all the discussion boards are listed here. Okay, and then the real important tab is my grades, and if I click on this, it's going to error out because as the professor I don't have any grades, but your grades will populate here. And the school offers you course tools so that you can see what the other tools are in Blackboard that are available for this course. And for my online classes, but also for all of my classes, you know, students can always make use of online office hours, and this is how you do it. You're going to click on live office hours, and then you're going to click on, you need to pay attention to the dates, because by the time you see Blackboard, there's going to be a ton of dates. Okay, so the first online office hours section in this class starts Thursday, August 28th at 3 o'clock, and it lasts until 6. And you'll see over here that it says that it's shared, and that means it's shared among all my classes. So if you want to join me in online office hours, what you're going to do is you're going to click on this live online office hours for this date. Now, this is where you want, this is what you want to get to, okay? Because you can only log in 15 minutes before the section starts, before the office hours start, obviously we can't log in now and I can't show you that, but you'll see that this particular entry shows the start times and the end times for office hours. But the other thing that I think is really neat about this is that you'll see some phone numbers here. Now, you don't want to deal with the moderator phone numbers because that's me, but right here, participant phone numbers and participant pins. Okay, so let's say that you are out of town on business, or you are serving in the armed forces in another area, or whatever the reason is. Maybe you just have the flu, and or your internet is down, or any number of reasons why you can't log on to Blackboard. If you're having trouble getting into the room, then what you can do is you can pick up your telephone and you can dial this phone number right here. It will ask you for this participant PIN number. You enter that number and it will actually connect you to the live online hours in Blackboard. Now, the first time you log in to live office hours, it may take a little bit of time. And what I mean by that, it may take even up to a full minute, depending on whether or not you have all the plugins that you need to participate in live online office hours. If everything is working on your computer like it should, then you will have a button that appears somewhere in this area here that will say join session. I can't write with this. Join session. Let's see if I can do session better. It's really bad. But there'll be a button that says join session. You click on that session and then it will open up Blackboard Collaborate. And once you're into Blackboard Collaborate, I can help you understand what you need to do. Okay, so that's a basic overview of what you're going to be doing in the class from a Blackboard perspective. If you have any other questions, send me an email or post it in the discussion board and I will help you as much as I can. Thank you so much.